Hey guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel. This is a what if series and I'll be doing more down the road, so stay tuned and thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome back to part 9 of what if Deku had the power of the Infinity Stones. So we left off with Deku and Esdeath about to go all out in their battle, and All Might stopped it. Yeah, and why did All Might stop it? Well, basically, if Esdeath and Izuku were to fight as they were pretty much going to go all out and destroy everything around them. So the people in that tournament probably, well, most likely would have died. I think Izuku would have rewind time and everything, but in that situation there, they most likely would have died. So this is 2 days after the tournament, and Shoto Aizawa, he pulls up a board to show us all the tally marks that each student were to get. With Todoroki, he got 1,500 Todoroki got the same amount that he got it in the anime, because people were looking at Todoroki and had their eyes on him. And Bakugo, the same amount that he got in, higher. Todoroki and Bakugo's were higher. And I know that Izuku had a lower count in this, but now that Izuku's count is way much higher, possibly higher than Esdeath's, because Esdeath ranks 2nd and Izuku ranks 3rd. As far as the focus goes on, the focus was on Bakugo, Deku, Esdeath, and Todoroki. Those are the 4 that got the most highest requests. I mean, everybody else got the same as they did in the original canon, but like these 4, they got the most highest requests. And Todoroki, he ends up going to get trained by Endeavor. Esdeath said screw that, she's gonna go get trained by the Ice Queen. The Ice Queen of the quirk, Elsa. Okay, why I'm putting a Disney character in here? Well, imagine it like this. That's my option. If you guys have any other person that uses specified, like a female ice user who is so strong, not Esdeath, because she's already in there, but I want you guys to find me someone who is like a strong female ice mage user, so I can have Esdeath go train with her. But into the meantime, I'm not going to relate any names. So Esdeath picks this Ice Queen, and she goes to train with her, basically trying to get her power and her ice more stronger than what it already is. Izuku really didn't know who to pick, as all of them were just amazed by how Izuku's quirk is basically infinity. I mean, he can do anything. But so Izuku says, well, I don't know really whom to go to. And Bakugo, he doesn't go to Best Genius. He goes to the same agency with Todoroki, since Endeavor took enlightenment towards Bakugo. I mean, he was very surprised at how strong Bakugo manifested his quirk, trying to keep up with Deku, basically making himself very, very strong. And the aura that Bakugo produced, the flame-like aura, that I stated was similar to Jiren, even piqued Endeavor's interest even more, seeming that Bakugo might really become a huge rival towards Todoroki. So the whole time Bakugo and Todoroki are training at Endeavor's agency, they're both sparring against each other, trying to hone their skills. Todoroki's using his fire and ice, and Bakugo's using his blast and maneuvering himself around Todoroki while they're sparring. They're battling all out as Endeavor intended to be, because he's training them both to be strong heroes. Now we cut back to Esdeath training with the Ice Queen, and the Ice Queen telling Esdeath that you have to use your ice more proficient. See, I think you're a battle smart genius, and I think you already know that. Why did you come here? Like, why would you want me to train you out of everyone else that had their offers on you? Well, to be specific, you're a strong ice user. I'm not so good at my ice. I mean, I can stop time, but with my ice, I can freeze a continent. But I want to get stronger. I want to be stronger in my ice. I mean, I can freeze a continent. I can stop time. I mean, there's nothing left to teach you. Esdeath, or is it Esdesu? I prefer you to call me as Desu. So, why would you come here then? Well, I didn't necessarily come here for you to train me in my ice, guilty as charged. I came here for you to train me in something else since you have very accustomed skills. You can help me with my other quirk. And I was waiting for you to state that. Your other quirk has to deal with emotions. You run around on the worlds of emotion. So, can you train me? And the Ice Queen would be looking around, seeming as if, well, there's not much I would be able to teach you, but I can help you control each individual emotion so that you can find what best suits you in battle. So, Esdef begins her training, learning the first steps. Anger, which Esdef immediately. Okay, so you remember, if you guys watch Ikime Got Kill, if you didn't, I will explain it. But if you watch Ikime Got Kill, you would notice that Esdef, when she drank the blood, the demon blood from that cauldron or whatever it was, she instantly started hearing these demonic voices in her head, started going crazy or something like that, and she didn't let it control her. All of a sudden you seen in this purple-like energy or red-like energy, whichever one it was, coming out of her body, and she ended up getting this tattoo mark on her chest. So in this one, with the anger part, you see Esdef's anger resenting towards her father for basically treating her and Todoroki like battle objects instead of his own kids. The training, his mom, sorry about that. The training, Todoroki and Esdef's mom basically pouring hot water on Todoroki and then leaving, getting subjected to a mental asylum by Endeavor. She holds so much hatred towards Endeavor that it boils up her anger to the point that her eyes just glow red, and you see this ominous red aura, like reddish black aura emitting from her body. And the Ice Queen would instantly hit Esdef in the back of the neck, knocking her out. As if she didn't do it, Esdef would have went on a rampage. Esdef would wake up seconds later saying, "What happened?" And the Ice Queen would look at her with a menacing glare, saying, "I told you to channel the power, not over exert yourself. You channeled too much of that anger element into your body, and you almost went on a rampage until I neck chopped you. You need to focus on other elements out there. I know you have, well, not elements, emotions. I know you have a huge resentment towards your father, so don't focus on that. Focus on the other aspects in life. There are various emotions out there, from sadness to the intent to kill, to anger, to happiness, to rage. It's all out there. Rage is very different from anger, as anger can be channeled, as anger is from all the hatred that you feel from your father can be channeled as anger that you're feeling deep inside. Rage is the feeling of loss or the sight of someone you are disgusted by." And Esdef would look at her and say, "Right. Well, let's start your training, Esdesu." And that's where Esdef training would begin. Now, Deku would be walking, basically picking up on a list, and he doesn't know who or like what to pick, like who to pick on his list and everything. And his mom was basically busy as usual working on a new suit. She was basically working on a big version of her suit called a Buster. But she didn't know what to name it or what components to add to it, but she was trying to figure out how to go about it just in case something was like to come about in the future. So she came up with the idea to make a Nomu Buster. And as smart as Deku's mom is, she basically studied all the quirks that the Nomu had, that Shigaraki had stated, and adapted it to her Nomu Buster. Yeah, that's insane. It's not as big as you think it is. It kind of resembles the Bleeding Edge armor in the Infinity War. That's the one, that's how she created it. And it's somewhat like that. It's somewhat like that, but in a more, like, it's not the red and gold that you would see in there. Like, it's more, say it's more like accustomed to her sun. It's more like green and black. So we cut back to Deku, and while he's like walking, he instantly gets teleported somewhere, and he doesn't know where he's got teleported. Deku's just looking around and saying, What happened? Who even has the power to teleport me somewhere? I mean, I guess I'm not the strongest in the universe. I guess there's someone out there stronger than me." And you see the Living Tribunal walk up to Deku. Well, yeah, walk up to Deku. This guy is huge, but he's in a form where he can just walk up to Deku. And the Living Tribunal will state itself, so I finally summoned you here." And Deku would go to lift up an eyebrow and say, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm the Living Tribunal." And Deku would say, the living what? "Let's just say I rule over this universe that you're in. And basically, you have the power of infinity. You're looking for someone to train you, but you don't have any idea of who can train you. And all the heroes on the world basically are just interested in your quirk and just wants you a part of their agency. Probably because you're a strong asset to the world. And probably you can annihilate any villain if you so-called wanted to." And Deku would go to say, "So what does the Living Tribunal want with me?" And not to be like a brat or anything, or just to be rude, but if you rule over this universe and I have the power of all, if I have the power of all 6 universal elements in my body, what can you do? Well, the Living Tribunal said this. "Well, I can do this." Just like that. And Deku would try to use his power and it wouldn't do nothing. He would try to use his power against the Living Tribunal, trying to hit the Living Tribunal or kick or swing, as the Living Tribunal would basically dodge him and say, "It's pointless. You cannot do anything against me." And Deku would go to say, "So what did you do to my power?" "I nullified it. Nullified it." And Deku would say, "So how did you do that?" "Oh, come on, kid. You really think that your infinity power could do anything against me? I'm the one who created everything in this universe. That's my power. If I can simply create, I can simply take away, I can simply destroy. There's nothing I can do, and I'm watching over all life as it is right now." And Deku would go to say, "Oh, so you really are strong." I'm nervous now. So what does the all-powerful Living Tribunal want with me?" "Well, I called you here to train you. You can't find anyone else on that earth to train you, so I might as well step up and offer my assistance towards you." And Deku would go to say, "So you're really going to train me into using my power?" "Yeah, I'm going to train you. And the first thing we're going to work on is the soul power. You haven't been using that much. The soul power in your body can be used for various amounts of things. You could be someone that can resurrect life, bring life back from resurrect life, control life, or take life away. But you haven't even used it yet. Why is that?" "Because I don't see myself taking life away or resurrecting someone I don't know. That's why." Well, that's one we're going to work on. And we're also going to work on your time, your power, your mind ability, because there's a lot of things that you can do with that mind's power. And also your reality. You know something about reality. That if you can shape the world around your opponent, make them see something that they're not intended to see, or make them appear in a place that they don't fully recognize, you can easily defeat them. But you haven't been using your reality that much, have you? Not really. Well, come on. It's time to train. You don't have time to waste, and neither do I. So the training would start between Deku and the Living Tribunal, with the Living Tribunal wearing Deku out, as Deku didn't notice that there was anybody else that this powerful than him. He tried everything up his sleeve to use the times, to use his power. The Living Tribunal was just fast. It was like a Whis. Deku couldn't basically touch the Living Tribunal. I mean, he would graze the Living Tribunal, but it probably was nothing to him. And the Living Tribunal would say, good, good. You're getting adapted to all your skills and all your power. I'm getting interested in seeing where you're gonna go next. And Deku would basically use his power. Deku would instantly just say, well, if I can't beat you using all the powers if I can't beat you using all the powers by themselves, why not combine them all together? And the Living Tribunal would say, what? I'm very interested into seeing what you're talking about, as I've never heard of combining all the powers together. And then you see Deku turns into his cosmic destroyer form, with this like ominous like white aura just irradiating from his body, and his eyes just glowing looking at the tribunal. And Deku would say, you ready for round 2? As he would charge at the tribunal, and the tribunal this time would block Deku's punches. He would block Deku's punch, being knocked back just a few feet, but catching his balance. But he would have Deku's fist in his hand. And Deku would notice that the Living Tribunal is nothing to fathom with. And he would say, so before we go on with this training, what do you necessarily do? Are you all alone up here? And the Living Tribunal would just have a head sweat and say, you're really the first kid to ever ask me something like that. What do you mean all alone? And Deku would go to say, well, he stopped and powered down. There's really nothing around here. There's nothing but space. I mean, don't you get lonely? And the Living Tribunal would look around. Such feelings like that, loneliness, happiness, sadness, relationships, or anything like that doesn't concern me. The only thing I'm concerned with is balance, and that the universe is at a stable condition. And you gotta prepare. And what do you mean I have to prepare? There is someone stronger than you that might give you a life or death battle that's gonna challenge every hero on that world. You were born with this power to hold back those singularities, to hold back those entities. And Deku would go to say, so who's coming? And I'm replacing the hero killer stain with, you're gonna find out. So Deku would go to say, so who's coming? And the Living Tribunal would look at Deku and say, his name is Galactus. And they would say, Galactus? Well, stop, let's pause. I'm not gonna necessarily replace the arc with hero killer, but let's put it like this. So Deku would ask, who is Galactus? And the Living Tribunal would say, Galactus is a giant world eater. He's immensely powerful, and there's nothing that he cannot do. Your power alone won't be able to stop him. And Deku would go to say, what do you mean? I have 6 individual powers that I can use to fight against this so-called planet eater. And the Living Tribunal would raise an eyebrow and hit Deku upside the head. Listen to me. Deku would say, ow, what was that for? You're being an idiot. Listen to me. Galactus is nothing to be trifled with. You have to proceed with caution. Take your training seriously. Adapt your skills. Get much stronger so when he does come, you will hold a chance against him. And I'm also interested in that girl you've grown accustomed to. You should think about asking her out. And Deku would blush and look away. You talking about Esdesu? And he would say, yes. She's exceptionally strong. but I think a spatial threat like Galactus would hold her powers at a minimum. What do you mean? Well, she gains her powers from all of the emotions around. I don't think a being like Galactus ever feels an emotion. Well, he's a planet eater, isn't he? So, isn't hunger an emotion? Deku would go to say. Hunger is not necessarily emotion, but something more like a feeling the need to eat something. I wouldn't say it's an emotion. Deku would basically look at the living tribunal and say, so how big of a threat is this guy? He could wipe out all humanity with one fell swoop. And Deku's feet and hands would get sweaty, and it's like he would get nervous and start breathing heavily. And Deku would say, "So the fate of the whole planet is resting on my shoulders." And Deku just would look at the living tribunal. You have exactly 10 days before this guy shows up. Until then, I'm gonna train you into a splendid warrior. You should do the best to hone your skills, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Not everyone has the chance of getting trained by the Living Tribunal. So, Deku's training would commence with the Living Tribunal, and as everything would go to prior to canon, we would cut back to Deku being teleported back on Earth after his training got finished. And so now we're at the point where Tenya Ida's brother was killed by Hero Killer Stain. I'm not going to exclude Hero Killer because that was a good arc there. But this is how it's going to go. The Hero Killer Stain was instantly knocked out. Instantly. So here's how that happened. Deku got teleported back, but he went home trying to do more studying, asking his mother about, he was telling his mother all about Galactus and the threat that's coming in literally 10 days. And his mother would panic, she would say, so this is it. This is the vision I seen. This is how it's gonna happen. This is how everyone's gonna die. I can't let that happen. And she would go to her closet and pull out the Infinity Suit, and she would tell Deku, you better prepare and tell All Might and all the rest of the heroes. I will go warn the Avengers, and we have to prepare for war. And Deku would go to say, I guess it's really that serious. It's come to a war. So, with Deku basically talking to his mother and trying to plot up a strategy for Galactus incoming, we now cut back to Esdeath, and she's just walking through the streets as she looks over and sees Todoroki and Tenya Ida. Well, Tenya Ida, she doesn't see Todoroki. Well, Todoroki is with Esdeath, put it that way. And they look over to see Tenya Ida pinned to the ground, and Hero Killer with someone over, with a guy, I forgot the guy's name, but he had someone by chokehold and getting ready to kill them. As Esdeath blitzes Hero Killer Stain and kicks him dead in the side, he lands into a wall with a huge crash. And Esdeath looks at she puts her leg down and she says to Hero Killer Stain, "Come on now, you can't go around picking on weaklings. Find someone who's stronger, who can keep up with you. That's the only way you're gonna find interest in the battle. What's your name?" And Stain would come from the rubble and says, "Listen, I have no quarrel with you. Whoever you are, get out of my way. I have a mission to complete." And Esdeath would rush Stain with little to no ease, with her hand gripped around his neck. He would swing his sword trying to cut her, but she would break it with just a swipe of her fist. And she would go to look at Hero Killer Stain, and her murderous bloodlust overpowered his. He thought, by using the power of his bloodlust, that he would break her will down, but Esdeath gave him a menacing, demonic look, and it broke down his will. And she would then go to rapidly punch Hero Killer Stain in the face, but he would kick off of her and disappear out of nowhere. Like he would leave immediately because he knew he was at a huge disadvantage. This girl wasn't necessarily human, and she was becoming a hero. Hero Killer was confused. When he got out of dodge, when he hid, he was breathing heavily, like he thought his whole life flashed before his eyes. He basically just stared fear right in the eyes. And he would go to he slapped his face, like touched his face to basically snap himself out of his like funk. And he would go to say, "Who was that girl? She had all intention on killing me. I thought these heroes lived by a moral code. So they're just gonna let anyone become a hero, even someone as ruthless as her. She doesn't even have any setbacks. She was gonna kill me right there." As he's just breathing heavily. "I can't afford to run into her again. I have a mission to complete." And Hero Killer would basically disappear from where he was hiding at. And Esdeath would just say, "I could chase after him. I really could, but there would be no fun in that. But I can't just let him go around killing people. So what do you suggest, Todoroki?" And Todoroki would look at his sister. "You're really asking me for my opinion? I think a hero's duty is to protect the people from killers like that. This guy is going around killing innocent heroes for no reason. So don't you think it would be best to go to follow him?" I knew you would say something like that. Very well. Esdeath gathered all the murderous intent in the world and basically disputed into her body. Now this purple like ominous aura would just irradiate from her body, and she would just power up as the cracks on the ground would start. As the cracks on the ground would start forming and rocks would start floating in the air, and Esdeath would let out a laugh, saying, "Well, it's just time to let loose." And she would instantly blink from the spot that she was at and appear right in front of Hero Killer Stain and kick him to the ground. Hero Killer Stain, I'm just going to call him Stain. Stain would be shocked. She caught up with me that fast? Who is this girl? And she would instantly appear, like she kicked Stain to the ground, and Stain would open his eyes for her to basically come flying down with her foot and impale. Well, not impale. She didn't like stab, or she just instantly came down and landed right on She landed right on Stain's stomach. You realize how in the movie with Goku versus Broly, and how Broly kept trampolining on Goku's stomach? That's what she kept doing to Hero Killer Stain over and over and over. He would cough up blood, and in his mind he's begging for the pain to stop. He doesn't know who this girl is, and she's gonna get in the way of all his plans. And then he cut her. When she would come down again, he managed to cut her and basically get away. And the cut would immobilize Esdeath, and Hero Killer Stain would take that into opportunity and rush at Esdeath. But just before he do that, she would go to say, "Oh, come on now. Do you really think something like that would work? You know, as being a battle smart genius as I am, I've studied every villain or every hero out there, and you, my friend, have come to pique my interest. You know what I studied on you, Stain? Is that your quirk is blood curdle. When you cut someone, their blood type, depending on what their blood type is, ranges from shortest to longest time they can stay incapacitated. Well, for me, that doesn't work," Esdeath would say. And the Hero Killer would walk towards her saying, "You can say what you want, you're incapacitated." As Esdeath aura is still surrounding the area, but then it turns into this ferocious ice-like power. And Esdeath is saying, "I don't need to be standing up or to be hand-to-hand combat to use this power." Esdeath would use her ice, and it will form a huge fist that punches Stain into a wall. and then the time limit would be up. She would basically have a shorter version of the time limit due to Esdef's blood. Esdef would walk over to Hero Killer's stand and look down at him smiling. And Hero Killer would say in his mind, she's just as insane as me. Is she really a hero? And when she was about to go for the killing blow, she seen Todoroki, and Todoroki calls out, Esdef. And she would look at Todoroki and say, but I was just having a little fun. You do not need to kill him. He's already down for the count. Are you sure? This is a guy that went around killing heroes very easily. If I let him live, who's to say he won't break out and do it again? He has a moral code that he lives by. And Todoroki would say, yes, but you do not need to kill him. Come on, sister, be reasonable. And Todoroki and Esdef will go, fine. But when she said fine, she let off a thunderous punch to Stain's abdominal section, basically rendering him unconscious. No waking up, no willpower, no overwhelming bloodlust. This punch was so powerful that it shook the area that Esdef was in. And that's it for Stain. The police came and everything and arrested Stain. And Esdef and Endeavor, Todoroki, and the rest of the other heroes made short work of all the nomus that were dispersed in the city. And it was very easy, especially with Esdef and Todoroki there. So, with that, we now cut back to Deku and his mother. And they're both saying, we need to go to accounts. We need to hold a meeting with every hero in the world and let them know that war is coming to our planet. Death is right around the corner. And Deku basically clenches his fist and says, we're not gonna die. I promise you. We're gonna live through this. But we have to prepare for Galactus' arrival. And that's where I'm going to end. What if Deku had the Infinity Stones power? Part 9. I hope you guys enjoyed this part because I had a lot of thinking to do. And you know what? I kind of wanted to add Galactus as a big bad villain for this part. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment sections down below. And as always, you already know the deal. Plus Ultra. Good night, guys.